question I ask is why, Governor, so much corruption? And in a time where you say Colorado is a progressive state, my question is then is why so much is your judicial law enforcement is filled with so much corruption to the point where you're having an FBI investigation of your judges and your so-called justice system. Now, I contacted Nine News, Next, which is part of Nine News. No one seems to care because no one got back to me, and I asked the same question to them, and I even posted on Facebook. And I use myself as a prime example with a so-called DUI by Greeley, which is in Wells County, which is one of the most corrupted cities in the state of Colorado, along with Lawrence County and Boulder County. But yet and still, it perpetuates. It goes on. And you're supposed to be the governor, or the new so-called proclaimed governor of Colorado. What the other corrupted governor didn't do. My question is, will you take the bull by the horn and address it? Because your local news department doesn't mention anything about it. Neither does Kyle and Next, although he mentions everything else, but he doesn't say anything about the corruption in Colorado. And my question is to Kyle and to Nine News, why not? Unless someone's paying you not to cover the corruption that's going on in Wells County, Lawrence County, and in Boulder County, in your judicial department. That your judges are being bribed and on take. So if it's a so-called justice system, then why is it compromised by bribery and corruption? Just like America justice system as a whole. One of the most corrupted judicial systems in the world. Now, you talk about ethics and morals. You talk about your DUIs and people that drink, but yet and still, you run breweries all over the state of Colorado, inducing people to drink. More or less people to drink and drive. So if you're enticing people to drink, I guess that's a monopoly on your so-called police departments, sheriff departments, to make municipalities a nest egg by ticketing DUIs. Now, isn't that funny in your so-called progressive state? You had this high regard against DUIs, but yet and still you perpetuate it by having breweries all over the state of Colorado. Now you're having alcohol even being served in your grocery stores. So tell me, governor, mayor, congressmen, senators, isn't that a double standard that you hold such an epic stance against DUIs, but yet and still you perpetuate the reasons why you have people drinking and driving on the highways in the state of Colorado? Mind you, and I use myself as an example, never got stopped for a DUI in my life until recent. That happened back in July 2018. And you threw the proverbial book at me. almost a $4,000 worth of fines, revocation of my license, community service, probation, Alcohol Anonymous, meetings here, meetings there, intervention where you got to go and pay $100 to your probation officer. For what reason, I don't know. If isn't probation enough, you charge me probation on my fines, but yet and still I got to take that and pay my probation officer too. This is the scam. This is the con that's going on in the state of Colorado. You perpetuate DUIs by your breweries all over the state of Colorado, having their little get-togethers and trying and drinking beer and wine, whatever the case may be. But yet and still, you want to hold such a position on DUIs, this moral, ethical stance you're taking, which is in all intents and purposes as hypocritical as the state of Colorado is when you talk about progression. The intelligent answer of progression is meaning that you're taking a stance nobody else is taking. And my question to you, how come you're not taking a stance of true justice, of empathy and apathy? That a person who gets stopped for a DUI, first offense, no priors, never drunk and drive before in their life until the age of 68, but yet and still you want to throw the book at them. I can understand if you got into a fatal accident, people got hurt or people got killed. But neither one of those scenarios happened. Even the judge asked me at the time when I stood before him to be released from jail, where's the results of the breathalyzer test? There was none. And I have that summons as proof. But yet and still, your prosecuting attorneys, when I told them the same thing, they ignored it. The only thing they were interested in is getting a plea bargain, which at the time couldn't afford an attorney, couldn't afford legal representation. So I signed a little plea bargain, which I knew intents and purpose was nothing but a bunch of lies. And when you stand before the judge said nothing about the revocation of my license. He didn't take if you were going to revoke my license, you would have revoked it then and there. They didn't. And this is the Department of your Revenue in Colorado, the lies and the scam and the cons that goes on. And they want to talk about revoking my license till 2020 because I had a minor accident. And the officer at the scene of the accident ran my license. And you said that my license was revoked since June. But he said nothing about my license. The only thing he was worried about was my insurance. And Geico, who was my insurance carrier, stopped my insurance because of this accident. And they didn't want to renew my policy based on the revocation of my license. Now that's funny. How an insurance company knows of a revocation of my license. But you sent me no notice of the revocation of my license. The judge never gave me anything about my revocation of my license. The only thing that he was worrying about was my court costs and fines. That's the only thing. Now the scam is, as far as Colorado is concerned, as far as your highway patrols and your fines for your DUIs and your fines for whatever the case may be, is nothing but a money scam. That you want to sit there and just take advantage and extort money from Colorado citizens as you induce, as you perpetuate this driving while you're drunk with your breweries all over the states of Colorado, you know the percentages of people that who are going to drink and drive are going to be high because of the breweries. But yet and still, you got your corrupted judges making their money on the side with kickbacks and briberies. Fact. And you can go online and know and bring up any cases I have, and I place it on Facebook too, about the bribery that's in Lawrence County, that's in Wells County, that's in Bucks County. And you know of these judges, but yet and still you do nothing about it. They still hold their seat. Now, if you were so indictively so moral and so ethical, you would address the issue of your corrupted judges, which you don't. Now, new governor, if you're such a man that holds your position seriously, unless you'll be a part of this corruption that's in Colorado, and we know that you're not going to do anything about it because it's an ongoing scandal, it's an ongoing process within the judicial system of Colorado, that somebody's getting paid, somebody's getting kickbacks. And the only thing that you're worrying about is the money for your municipalities in the state of Colorado. Not for the justice, for the citizens of Colorado, but it's a money-making scheme. Which I said before, and I'll say it again. I appeal it, and I will keep on appealing it. And once I find myself a pro bono lawyer, I will file a civil lawsuit against the state of Colorado for the abusement of my civil rights and my human rights by being put in shackles in some orange suit like I'm some kind of federal criminal. It's funny how that in the state that you say is so-called progressive, that you have one of the highest real estate in the nation that people can't afford, that you have people sleeping in their cars, and your homeless prevention programs is overrun. People living in poverty because they can't afford the apartments and the condominiums and the houses in the state, but you're constantly stacking them and racking them and building them in a wide range all over Boulder County, Lawrence County, Wells County, Lamar County, without any regards to the citizens of Colorado, whether they can afford it or not. Not everybody is a techie in Boulder or in Colorado or in Longmont rather. People just work blue collar jobs, and you sure can't afford it as an elderly on Social Security to live in the state of Colorado. Your utilities are low, but yet and still, with an average base of $1,300 a month for an apartment, who in the hell can afford to have an apartment, a place to stay, without living with your children as an elderly person? Now, if you are so above, so ethical and moral, that you cared about homeless people and people living in poverty, you would have an affordable housing program, which you don't. Which in every sense of the word, it's non-existent. And you hear about the mayor in Denver speak about affordable housing. It's something they're working on. No, you don't work on affordable housing. You implement it. Because the elderly and average working class Colorado citizens deserve it. Because as much as you inherently promoting and obsessed with building to stack 'em and rack 'em apartments and condominiums and houses, you can do the same thing with affordable housing. And don't tell me that you don't have the money, because the money that $1 million is being lost in your failed rail system that hasn't worked for years correctly. The amount of money you're making off your extortion and scams of your judicial system. Don't tell me you can't afford it, because you can. Because you're making money hand over fist, especially with your real estate monopoly in this state. And I appeal to the intelligent people in Colorado. You can legalize marijuana, because then again, there we go. You're making money off the process. Millions of dollars. Just like you're making money off your breweries. You're making money off the DUIs that your breweries perpetuate. So it's an all-around scam on every level of this corrupted government that you have in Colorado, which nobody addresses, which no one speaks about. And that's including your local news and your so-called next. The outside news is supposed to be the provocative, state-of-the-art. We are better than the average news that nobody addresses. And I'm talking directly to you, Kyle. Now, Governor, if you're the so-called man that everybody thinks that you are, you will address this infestation of criminal corruption in your judicial system. Those judges, those prosecuting attorneys, those police officers, anyone involved in this corruption, in this extortion of Colorado citizens, you'll bring them to justice. And you'll penalize them the way they should be penalized for their criminal corruption, if you're the man that everybody thinks that you are. Because I don't know you. But prove me wrong, that you're different than the governor that you preceded. Or you just as corrupt as he is. And you're going to perpetuate this criminal corruption in the state of Colorado to further victimize Colorado citizens. And although you may have a lot of potheads in the state of Colorado, they might not care. But there's those of us that work every day, those of us that need our license to get back and forth to work, those of us that need a justice system that is fair and shows empathy and apathy and shows true justice toward the citizens, not crooks who are on the take and being bribed, paid to play justice system like it is around this country. Now, I give you a challenge in 2019 and 2020, Governor. Change. You talk about change? Change. Change your justice system. Change your DOJ to be legit and be as progressive as your so-called state is. That's my challenge. And I will hold you to it. And I will hold all of you accountable. All you politicians and bureaucrats and oligarchs in the state of Colorado. I will call you out on it every single day. As you should too, Kyle and Nine News, that you're supposed to be news reporters. How come you haven't reported this epidemic of corruption in your judicial system in the state of Colorado? Or is somebody paying you too? Is my question. Now, if we want to be above board, we want to be truly ethical and moral, then change the criminal activity in the state of Colorado. Then you can truly be respected as a progressive state. And until then, I don't hold you in high regards. What I look at you as criminals. Just like the president in Washington, D.C., and his criminal cohorts on Capitol Hill. If you're different, if you're truly moral and ethical, show me. I'm done.